Hello, everyone. We're glad to have you here with us. This is the fourth press conference that the EHCB is doing during a Final Four, and every year we're getting bigger and better. I'm glad to have with us our President, Mr. Dimitris Itoudis, and our Vice President, Mr. Giannis Sfairopoulos, and of course our Executive Director, Mr. Goran Sasic. Before we start the Q&A session, which I hope that will be centered, at least initially, in the agenda that we will propose, our President and our Vice President will have to touch some very specific topics about the future of European basketball that have already been discussed between the EHCB, other stakeholders of the EuroLeague, and also the new EuroLeague management. So, Mr. President, you have the mic.
Hello, hello everybody. Thank you for you being present over here. Thank you, Aris. Actually, I'm the first time in this press of the EuroLeague Head Coaches Board, and I like the fact that you gather over here to pass some of the messages we wanted to discuss over here. I will start with this topic, saying once again that the third year in a row we're gonna be in this gym, actually at Oaka Stadium basketball court, holding the conference that we do have from the 2nd of July until 5th of July, actually a full 4 workshop days with 14 master classes, for first time actually hearing the feedback of the EuroLeague head coaches and coaches in the world. We're gonna try to modify a little bit our topics. Before I go to some of the details, I would like to use this opportunity to say a big thank you for Panathinaikos Basketball Club and President of Mr. Dimitris Giannakopoulos, that they do provide us the gym. Obviously, Goran has more to say about the details, but holding such a big coaches clinic in such a great arena that provides also all the needed electronics that he helps the coach to present whatever he wants to present. It's a great help. And as in previous of the conferences, we do have coaches coming from all over the globe. If I'm not mistaken, over 60 countries. They made an honor to us to be over here in over 500 or 700 participants. And it's very important, the fact that here is going to be the Final Four. Connecting with the past, I did have the opportunity, as a joke I'm saying that, to participate in one of the 3 Final Fours that have been held already in Greece, in Sef, in Thessaloniki, and also in Oaka in 2007. And it's much easier, believe me, to be a participant, being in the bus, having the police escort and come for the practice or the games, than now that I came for the press conference. So I see what happens behind the scenes, how much of a preparation, how much of a security it happens behind the scenes. Believe me, when you're working and you focus on the Final Four, how to do the job, then you're just meeting bus and come here. So, connecting again for the EuroLeague Head Coaches Board, we proudly announced that from the 2nd of July until 5th of July, we're going to be here in Oaka. We expect you as well to pass that message, and being also present, you're more than welcome to see what we're doing on court. I think hearing the feedback from you, from the coaches, we tried to modify it, and we tried to actually add some new topics. For the first year, actually, we're going to have coaches that they're going to run their own full practice, how it looks like. It's pretty much when you open the door and you're getting into the practice of Pablo Lasso, or you're getting into the practice of any other EuroLeague coach, and you're going to have the opportunity to witness people and coaches that will have the opportunity to witness details and how the practice is running. Another important topic is that for the years before and now, we establish a great collaboration with the Players Union and also with WEBO, the Referees Union. Their president, Mr. Sreten Radovic, will be with us. It's very important to hear back from them and to hear also how the collaboration between referees and coaches it's happening, how we influence also on their mindset and their preparation, because EuroLeague referees coming prepared in games, scouting coaches, scouting players, scouting certain situations. In order to give the word to Giannis and to the rest of the participants, I would like to say that if you would not be able to attend physically the clinic, we do have this year-long collaboration with Nova TV that provides us high-quality technology. You have the opportunity to watch it through our net live streaming, or afterwards, if you submit and you can go to online and watch the clinics. So once again, a big thank you for Panathinaikos BC and Mr. Dimitris Giannakopoulos being once again for the third year. Many of our sponsors, the Greek government as well, embrace this clinic, and the least I can say is a big thank you for all that they're helping. Those that we know in front of the cameras or behind the scenes that they're working as volunteers as well. Thank you once again for being here.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. We are very pleased that a lot of media from all over Europe are here to help EHCB and give us the voice that we want as coaches in the European basketball. Today I will talk about three different topics very shortly. The NIL phenomenon, the financial fair play, and about the injuries in EuroLeague. So the EuroLeague Head Coaches Board plays a pivotal role in shaping the present and future of European basketball, serving as a unified voice for the coaches who teach, develop, and elevate the game at the highest level. And I didn't see well, that's why I was...
Comes with the age.
Yes. As the individuals most directly connected to players, team development, and the evolution of basketball philosophy, coaches possesses invaluable knowledge and practical experience that can substantially contribute to the sport's progress. For this reason, it is essential that basketball coaches actively express their views, participate in institutional dialogue, and engage in discussions concerning the direction, innovation, and overall development of European basketball. Through the EHCB, coaches are given the opportunity not only to represent their profession, but also to help safeguard and advance the values, quality, and educational dimension of the game across Europe. This is the reason that we want, through this press conference, to express our opinion as coaches, members of EHCB, concerning some very important issues that we have in EuroLeague and in European basketball in general. The NIL phenomenon is transforming global basketball by giving young athletes the opportunity to earn significant income through US college basketball programs. While this creates new opportunities for players, it also poses serious challenges for European basketball structures, especially youth academies and long-term player development systems. European clubs invest heavily in developing young talent through academies, coaching, education, and infrastructure. However, NIL contracts now make the US pathway financially more attractive at an early age. As a result, many of Europe's top prospects may leave before contributing to their local clubs or senior teams. This risks weakening domestic leagues, reducing the value of academy systems, and creating instability for clubs that depend on developing talent. To protect European basketball, several precautions should be considered. European federations and clubs should strengthen financial and educational incentives for young players to remain longer in Europe. Better compensation and solidarity mechanisms should reward clubs that develop players who later leave for the NCAA or NBA. Clubs must modernize academies by combining elite basketball development with academic opportunities and career planning. European leagues should improve visibility, marketing, and competitive opportunities for young local players. Cooperation between FIBA, EuroLeague, and national federations is necessary to establish regulations that protect youth development structures. Rather than resisting NIL entirely, European basketball should adapt strategically. The focus must remain on creating an environment where young athletes can achieve both professional growth and financial security without abandoning the European development model too early. Let's talk now about the financial fair play. EuroLeague financial fair play raises a fundamental economic debate between financial sustainability and competitive growth. On one hand, many EuroLeague clubs have improved commercially through sponsorships, media rights, merchandising, and arena revenues. However, the league remains financially uneven, with many clubs still heavily dependent on wealthy owners, football parent clubs, or state-backed support. Unlike the NBA, EuroLeague lacks strong centralized revenues, revenue sharing, and salary cap mechanisms. The rise of NCAA NIL contracts and globally salary inflation has so intensified competition for talent. EuroLeague clubs now compete not only with each other, but with the NBA, college basketball, and emerging international markets. Strict spending restrictions could therefore weaken European clubs internationally by limiting their ability to attract elite players. Supporters of relaxed financial rules argue that investor funding is essential for league growth, infrastructure, development, and global competitiveness. Critics, however, warn that unrestricted spending could increase inequity and create long-term financial instability. The comparison with UEFA highlights concerns about enforcement credibility. Financial regulations only work if rules are transparent, sanctions are consistent, and large clubs do not receive preferential treatment. Overall, the main issue is not whether EuroLeague should have financial fair play, but what kind of system it should adopt. A balanced model based on soft salary caps, luxury taxes, revenue sharing, and financial transparency may be more effective than strict break-even rules. Such an approach could support both long-term stability and continued league growth. Last, about the injuries. This season, everybody knows that injuries had a dramatic impact on the EuroLeague, and not only this season. Players, coaches, and even referees are facing increasing physical and mental demands because of the intensity of the modern basketball calendar. The problem is no longer isolated. It affects the entire ecosystem of European basketball. Today, we must recognize that this issue cannot be solved by one club, one league, or one medical department alone. We need a united approach and expert panel discussion involving head coaches, doctors, strength and conditioning coaches, players' associations, referees, EuroLeague management, and clubs' executives. There are many important concerns that must be addressed. Pre-season preparation is too short. Players return from the summer in different physical conditions, and the schedule quickly becomes overloaded with domestic leagues, Super Cups, and EuroLeague games. In some countries, calendar demands are often more difficult because of travel and scheduling obligations. At the same time, clubs need better injury data, stronger medical support, continued education for coaching and medical staffs, and access to modern technology and equipment. Most importantly, we need better calendar management to protect the health and the longevity of everyone who is involved in the game. The goal of this panel is not simply to discuss injuries, but to create real solutions together by bringing all stakeholders to the same table. EuroLeague basketball can become healthier, safer, and more sustainable for the future. Before I close my short speech, I have to say that we were just informed that the CEO of EuroLeague, Mr. Chus Bueno, accepted the concerns of the coaches concerning the calendar, and we were informed that also that he had a completely similar position with us about the NIL. It's very important this. We are very happy that our voice is now out loud, and we are very open to discussions about all these problems that we have in EuroLeague, not only with Chus Bueno, but with everybody that is involved. Thank you very much.
Ari, in order to say two things for what Giannis has mentioned, at least for the financial fair play and in regards of injuries. In regards of financial fair play, in my opinion, I'm not talking only as a president of EuroLeague Head Coaches Board, but as a coach, being in basketball, as a basketball lover, more than 30 years. I say in front of you that we need to consider, EuroLeague has to consider the fact that programs and investors, very successful entrepreneurs in their own field, such as Mr. Yanai and Mr. Gili Ranan and Mr. Miki Malka and Alan, Mr. Armani, Mr. Giannakopoulos. I see and I hear Pau has a wish and willing to get into EuroLeague. Why I'm saying all these names? Family Giannakopoulos is investing in basketball like a lot of years. So Family Angelopoulos, many clubs, late Armani, as I said, Dubai project, Hapoel Tel Aviv project. EuroLeague should concern about that and should embrace all these investors that they do come in our sport and they do want to keep teams sustainable under their enormous help, financial help. So I'm just putting a remark over there in regards of the financial fair play that EuroLeague needs to hear those guys, and we need to actually embrace that. And if at some point we can have 24, 26, or even 30 teams, which is my dream, my ultimate dream, I don't know if this will happen, in 2 groups, in 3 groups, in 4 groups possibly, we need to embrace this moment that people, they do want to invest a lot in basketball. In regards of the injury, Giannis mentioned something very correct. Every time we gather with coaches and with referees and with union of players, we do mention about the short time of the preseason. You mentioned about that. Just a remark over there. We do schedule the EuroLeague team's schedule, and we are obliged to start the preseason according to the 5 weeks before the first official game. EuroLeague doesn't concern that much of the local obligations of the team that has to appear at. For instance, the Super Cup games start much earlier. So it doesn't give you that much of a time to have a tournament and to prepare your team, and becomes the Super Cup pretty much a preseason tournament. But at the same time, the coaches has a pressure of the result in the Super Cup. I don't want to mention also that the local leagues, they might start earlier. So this tenure of the 5 weeks of preseason, it becomes much less. And I want you to be aware about that for the coaches preparing the team going out and play the first official game in Super Cup. And in most of the countries, Spain, Italy, Israel, Greece, we have to consider that as a less time being prepared.
Excuse me, Dimitri. And Super Cup is not official game. It's not considered as official game. So you have to play a title without being an official game in less than 5 weeks. So.
Yeah, that's well said. And it's something that I need you to think about because this, and I know with many of you I have had interviews, this is one of the things that we have to discuss on the idea I presented multiple times about the United League with many games, but with a different discussion in regards of the local leagues. How the local leagues can serve, still stay very important, but they can serve the purpose of the teams that they want to compete on the highest level, which is EuroLeague. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to talk about the two topics, which are the coaches' firings that happened or dismissals this year, and about the NBA Europe. Look, when we were founded in 2018-2019 season, there were 9 coaches' dismissals. That was one of the reasons why we gathered and why we founded the EHCB. I've seen a lot in those last 8 years. I thought I saw a lot about coaches' dismissals, but this year we went up to 10 in one season. Having 20 teams, that means 50% of the teams changed coaches. I always draw comparisons with football. And my football comparison about success and continuity in coaching is Sir Alex Ferguson. I always say, where was Manchester United with Sir Alex Ferguson, and where is it without Sir Alex Ferguson? With Sir Alex Ferguson, they have been playing every year in the Champions League, and almost every year fighting for the trophy. Without Sir Alex Ferguson, they are not even playing Champions League for many years anymore. Please correct me, I actually don't even remember when they played last year, the Champions League. So the same principle applies to coaching and basketball. We've had example of where success came from continuity with Željko Obradović and Panathinaikos, or Željko and Fener. We had with Dimitris and CSKA, with Ergin and Efes, with Pablo and Real Madrid. When you give a coach a chance, he will bring you glory. But the consistency in the coaching is not the only thing that is of concern, it's also the roster continuity that you have. You must know that the best players in EuroLeague sign 3 years contracts. So if you want to put the puzzle together, you better wait 3 years in order you get your roster that you're actually wishing as a coach. Well, which club has this mentality and this thought to wait for a result for 3 years, but actually 4 years, because you wait 3 years to get the roster you want, to compete in the 4th year with what your initial goal is. Sharas gave lately a very good statement that he thinks that the problem is not about the coaches, that we have a problem in the society. And drawing comparisons to when I grew up and when Dimitris and Giannis grew up, I will draw the comparisons between coaches and teachers. In school nowadays, teachers are disrespected. Parents protect their kids before respecting the teacher. I know when my mother went to school to talk to the teachers, I was shitting my pants for 1 week before she went to the school to talk to the teachers. For 1 week, I was nervous, and the day that my mother went to talk to the teachers, I tried to hide not to be at home. Nowadays, the parents go and attack the teachers. I think we have a big problem in society. The same thing is the disrespect that coaches had to take lately from all kinds of stakeholders. Every stakeholder thinks that he has the right to disrespect coaches. well, we will not take this anymore. So from now on, be ready that anyone who thinks that he can speak up and disrespect coaches, that he will get a reply from us. I want to give you an understanding that I try to transmit always. Dimitris, Giannis, and our members, they work 16 to 18 hours per day, 365 days per year. These are 30 years coaches. That's roughly around 150,000 hours of work as coaches. How dare anyone to criticize them with 0 hours of experience of coaching? How can anyone who's never ever witnessed one practice of Dimitris and Giannis and my members think that he knows better? The other way around. You are the stakeholder group of reporters. We don't think that we know your job better than you know your job. So it's about what Shara said, we have a problem in the society. The next topic I want to talk is the NBA Europe topic. I want to say that I wrote an analysis, an internal document to our members in February 2025, when just the idea of NBA Europe was a gossip at that time. I tried to tell my members the following things. I said, this idea that the NBA has been trying to plant the last year heavily relies on football clubs. But this is not the first time that somebody tried to convince football clubs to enter into basketball. This is a decade-old discussion. So I'm asking, did the NBA really succeed in convincing football clubs to create new basketball branches? That's the first question that I asked everyone. The second thing is, from the very beginning I said, this is not about basketball. This is about football. This is a question that needs to be discussed between NBA and the football clubs, or the NBA and UEFA. So these are the main stakeholders that should have been entering this discussion. I also said from the very beginning, I think it's absurd to believe that the biggest sports brands in the world, like FC Barcelona or Real Madrid, would actually be ready to pay a license fee. The biggest sports brands in the world don't pay to play. They get paid to play. This is very important to understand. The next thing is, I always say in any kind of business development, I don't believe anything until I see a business plan presented, or until I see the shareholders raise their hand in a board meeting and give out a press release. Until this moment, I never believe anything. So now, since the NBA presented their business plan, we can say that the interest declined from all stakeholders. Everyone was hyped up, starting from you reporters, starting from EuroLeague clubs, starting from fans, starting any stakeholder group was so anxious what will happen. Suddenly, the interest declined. And I want to give the example of the most enthusiastic, outspoken person about the NBA project was Tony Parker. We heard that he just is ready to re-sign with the EuroLeague. So I know a lot of potential investors and many stakeholders, like I said, who were very enthusiastic, that suddenly became very pessimistic about it. Instead of expecting miracles from the NBA, we should look to learn from those football clubs that the NBA tried to lure into the business. And I think UEFA knows best how to maximize the European sport market, and that their always the example we should lead. Still, I believe that an honest collaboration between everyone, the NBA, the EuroLeague, FIBA, UEFA, any potential investor, anyone, is good for the benefit of European basketball. But I always say, let's sit down on the same table and exchange our thoughts and come up with a joint idea. So much from my side about the two topics. I'm giving back to our President Dimitris Itoudis with some topics, and then afterwards we open up for the Q&A session.
Actually, I would like to add in regards few quotes in regards of the franchising shareholders. Let's agree on something, and I don't think that somebody in this room has a different opinion that in basketball ecosystem, either with the old formation before under FIBA or with EuroLeague, all clubs, and especially some major cities and major traditional clubs, have helped the development of this great sport. So I think that on this part, we all agree. So we believe that all clubs, they help the EuroLeague ecosystem. So if we have this base, I think that we will all agree that the clubs that they are participants in EuroLeague ecosystem, they should have the same rights. And at the same time, the same obligations. What I want to say is that traditional clubs as Partizan, Red Star, Bologna, Valencia, the two of them, they had got this year the license of the 3 years. Why I'm saying that? How Partizan or Red Star, and I will mention my club as well, Hapoel Tel Aviv, or Dubai, that got the license this year for 5 years, how those teams could have prepared a team that can be sustainable for a long term when they don't know if the next year will play in EuroLeague? How is that possible? I'm just asking you to consider that. So with this said, and as Goran mentioned, that whatever investment comes from outside, as I said, I'm hearing that PAOK has a willing to join EuroLeague. It will be some other clubs as well. So we need to embrace that. We need to listen to them, maybe Aris as well. So there are teams that they are willing to invest and to come to play in this ecosystem. So at least we need to have same obligations and same rights, so we can be more sustainable on what the project will look like. This is how we can invest. We cannot invest for 1 year. We need to invest at least for 3 years. You mentioned about the 3 years contract. So what kind of a contract are we going to do with players? I'm facing this trouble right now. Like, you're going to invest for the 3-year contract, but the player will say to you, only if you play in EuroLeague. So there's going to be a clause over there that you lose the player if you are not in the EuroLeague ecosystem. So if teams had proved, and there are traditional clubs, as I mentioned before, or the new clubs that they're coming with the new investors, we need to listen to them, and we need to give them the same rights. And say that, I know that it might be mistreated or misunderstood, but Hapoel Tel Aviv had gained the right to stay, to be in EuroLeague and to remain in EuroLeague through results. We have won the Euro Cup, and we've been in the spot of the playoffs in order to have the new EuroLeague, but I'm talking in general. That's why I mentioned Partizan, Red Star, Bologna, Valencia, that they're traditional powerhouses, that they did help on the development of this game that we all love.
So this is the agenda that we would like to set, and this is the time for the Q&A. I would like for you to raise the hand if you have a question, preferably about the topics that we touched, and when those questions are over, you can ask whatever else you want.
Καλησπέρα. Μπορώ να ρωτήσω Τώρα ακούγομαι νομίζω, Όχι, δεν ακούγομαι. Μπορώ να μιλήσω στα ελληνικά?
Ναι, θα μεταφράσω.
Okay. Coach Σφαιρόπουλε, αναφερόμενο στο θέμα των τραυματισμών, που ήταν και φέτος πολύ στην Ευρωλίγκα, είπες ότι, συγγνώμη για τον ελληνικό, αλλά γνωριζόμαστε χρόνια, έτσι. χρειάζεται να γίνει μια διαχείριση του καλενταριού. Θα μπορούσε να είσαι λίγο πιο συγκεκριμένο σε αυτό, δηλαδή τι ακριβώς προτείνετε? Προτείνετε λιγότερους αγώνες? Γιατί αν ισχύει αυτό, μια άλλη κουβέντα που είπε ο κύριος Itoudis προηγουμένως, ότι όνειρό μου είναι να δω τις ομάδες να γίνονται 20, 30, έτσι, ή κάποια άλλη ιδέα που έχει πέσει για κατάργηση του Final Four και σειρά τελικών, αυτά όλα σημαίνουν, κατά την άποψή μου, αύξηση του αριθμού των αγώνων. Πώς ακριβώς λοιπόν εννοείται την καλύτερη διαχείριση του καλενταριού?
Before coach answers, I will translate the question. The question was if there is a contradiction in having more teams in the league, like it was expressed during the press conference, and a calendar with less games in order to protect the players. Coach, you can answer in Greek if you want, and I will translate because there.
Okay. No, I will talk in English. Okay. First of all, everybody knows that the games are a lot, and if EuroLeague will expand, that is logical to expand in next years with more teams. There will be, probably there will be 2 different groups, different format. And with this different format, we think that we can cut down 4 or 5 games per season, which is okay. Secondly, I think, as Dimitris said before and I mentioned, the pre-season should be longer because there will be as a better pre-season for the players and better preparation for their bodies to be more effective and less risky in injuries. To me, this is a big issue and big point. As I know, most of the teams have now doctors, 3 physios, massagists, great equipment. This is what we analyze. And the most important than all of this is to have expert panel discussions that our CEO, Goran Sasic, Mr. Goran Sasic, is trying to organize it a lot of time with all different parties, coaches, conditioning coaches, doctors, club responsibles, EuroLeague, of course, players association, even referees, to sit in the same table and have the professional way of protecting the health of the players and the coaches, because coaches are also under big pressure. Last but not least, I think that we should have a united calendar. Having in this calendar all obligations for EuroLeague games, local leagues, national teams, but also time for players to rest. Because resting is part of the practice for the player. We are in favor of all different categories. Let's say we are in favor of EuroLeague, but we are not against national team obligations or league obligations. But everybody must sit in the same table and prepare a schedule that everybody will be involved without hurting the health of the players. This is our opinion.
Next question.
Mr. Chrysanthis, just 1 second. I will go in a different direction. I'm talking from the perspective of being working in Russia, Greece, Turkey, twice, and now Israel. Do we want to talk truth, or we want to talk just mask the problem? Only? All right, so then you have also to address one thing. What we're witnessing as coaches, when it comes the game of the local league, is my knee, should I travel there? Coach, That's something that we witness. That's a daily basis factor, especially because of the regulation. In Israel, you can dress 5. Other countries 6, or whatever is the local rule. Why I'm saying that? Because there is consciously or subconsciously a preference of the players where to perform. I'm against, because the player is not being paid only for EuroLeague games or whatever other European obligations you have. He's being paid also to give his best for both competition. But the other topic which I mentioned is my personal dream. Actually, pretty much is the dream of the fans, that they already had voted through their presence in the EuroLeague games. The attendance in the local leagues and the attendance in EuroLeague is day and night. You should write about that. I witnessed a derby in Turkey where the attendance was 2,000, and a derby in EuroLeague, whatever that derby might be, which there were another 13,000 outside. So it's a different perspective. The fans already chose what they like to watch. So I think those groups and the EuroLeague, that they have experts, they analyze the product, and they understand that the product is good, because all the games are competitive, because all the games matter, because the first can win the last, or the last can win the second, or whatever, until the last moment, with this new rule that also actually the EuroLeague Head Coaches Board helped to add the play-in system. It became a little bit more interesting. Now, we need to understand that this is deeper discussion with the politicians, with the local governments, on how and what is the purpose of the local leagues at the end of the day. Because in Europe, it's not like in NBA, I agree. But we need to see something from the United States, how they did develop their high school basketball, college basketball, and then NBA. And they have also the development league. So what is the purpose of X team? I don't want to mention the name, so it cannot be mistreated, my quote. But what is the purpose of X team that provides talents to compete for the championship on the local league? Or what is the purpose of having also players that you don't play them because you're here with a knife to bring a result as a coach, and you don't play him through the EuroLeague, but he needs to be played, to be developed. So the Americans from the other side of the seas, they see that. That's why they put the development league. So the whole truth lies on that, which I need one press conference, me and you, to explain you from where it comes, my expectation and a dream to have even 4 groups of basketball, or 2 groups of basketball in 30 teams, or 26 teams, or 24 teams. That has to be a transitional, obviously, period in order to see if that's sustainable. But that's a whole discussion of how this can work parallel with the local leagues.
Next question, please. Emmett.
Thanks, Aris, and hi, coaches, and everybody. So just regarding the NIL, I know obviously Coach Sfairopoulos spoke about it. I'd love to hear from Coach Itoudis. Given the money we're hearing, but also how much older a lot of the players going over seem to be, like we're not seeing 18, 19-year-olds going to college, we're seeing 23, 24-year-olds. What's the impact for, you feel going to be on a sport here, given financially speaking, like those colleges will spend more than even the richest EuroLeague club might for a player who will see more minutes in a college game than naturally they might in EuroLeague?
Yeah. So, to the point, thank you for this question. There are teams that are now questioning, should they invest on their youth program? Because you're going to develop a player, you're going to spend time, knowledge, coaches, medical support, and everything, and it comes to the moment that you will never, ever, that player that it grew up in your youth system, never will help your own club. It will go overseas. This is also important. I'm mentioning again the fact that in United States you have systems that the team might win the championship and they go for the next 5 years of restructuring. The fan base, the ownership, everybody knows about that. You know, so here is where the youngs might get some minutes. I'm giving as an example. I can give the example of Detroit Pistons that when they have won, Chauncey Billups as the main point guard was being waived. They were in the distraction for 5 years. Now again, Detroit Pistons is in a playoff. I'm just giving one example. There are many out there. So over here, it's a little bit different. In Europe, everybody needs to win. So we need, this is related to what I was saying to your colleague, Mr. Chrysanthis, in regards of sit down and see what we want. If I was called as a coach that I have to develop a certain player and this is our main goal, I will develop that player. But we don't expect the results. Okay, we go for the results, but you know, I will develop that player. I don't mind if it's going to be 18 years old, believe me. The good example over here in 1999 when Željko and we signed for Panathinaikos, I went to Portugal to follow closely the 1981 generation of the World Cup that was held over there in Portugal. And this generation of Carlos Navarro, Gasol, or Fotsis and Gliadakis that were playing back then in Panathinaikos. Fotsis played his first year at 18 years old. He was a European champion, 18 years old. The guy was providing. So, you know, it's okay. But we're not being called with the agenda of developing a player. You know, we've been called to bring results in EuroLeague ecosystem. And this is, I think, a very, very important topic to be discussed with the local authorities. Back then in Serbia, and Goran can actually help me with that, it was a rule that you cannot leave the country unless you fulfill the age barrier, which was 23, 24, or maybe even more, in order to get out and make your own contract, all right? So I'm not saying we need to adopt this old system, but definitely we need to sit down and see what are the rules we can make in order the young kid to give back for the club that developed him to a certain level, and then is be free to negotiate.
Next question, please. Moshe.
Hello, Mr. Goran, Sasic, coaches, Aris. It's a follow-up question to what Emmett asked. When I look at the ecosystem of the entire world of basketball, whether it's the NBA, G League, colleges, it seems like one's affecting the other because NIL is being fed off the young talents. The second rounders in the draft might decide, oh, it's better for me to stay in the NCAA to make more money for now, so they postpone, and which might lead to the fact that even players in the G League that we might have seen them or may have seen them in the future are going to decide and stay because the money also in the G League is a bit bigger. Are you guys worried when you're looking at the level of play, the talents that might come a year or two maybe later than what they should have when we're looking at this game?
Yes, we are very concerned about these issues that you mentioned because European basketball is losing the youth generations. I think there will be a transition period now, and after 3-4 years when these players will graduate, if they will not play in NBA, then they will come back to Europe. So these first 4 years will be the most difficult. After that, we will have, I think, not the majority, but big percentage of the players that they will leave now to go to the colleges, and they will not succeed to play to the NBA, to come back to play in Europe. Then there will be another issue. When you get, let's say, 1 million per year in a college, and you will come back without having played any time in senior level in Europe, how much money you will give as a club to this type of a player with no European experience? So there are a lot of issues that we have to concern. That's why we said in the beginning that it's very important to sit down with the authorities and create a framework how all this procedure could be protected, let's say, from European clubs. I know, as Dimitri said, that a lot of clubs, they are thinking of close down all the academies and all the investment that they make to produce young players for the senior teams. Why to invest if they will lose them? So yes, it's a big concern, and I think we need to be alert and discuss all together about this main issue now.
Just to add one more thing. How you consider this now that happened with the college basketball and the big contracts? Is that the revolution? Is that the change? In regards also your question, let's say. Is that, how do you consider that? But we've seen it that like 15 years ago when I visited Michigan, and we were together with Jelko over there. So they made a tour to us, and they said, this stadium is a football stadium, traditionally sold out since 1970 something. We had a new, over there, VIP section, blah, blah, blah. The revenues are this X million, the X million. The coaches being paid in the college basketball, baseball, or whatever, American football, great money, am I right? And the only that did not being beneficial in regards of the financial part, it was the players. But we see that coming, either because that's happening through other sponsorship, either this has to happen somehow, because the players, the only benefit they had their scholarship, and possibly if they stay healthy, the NBA, or if we talk about basketball, the NBA career. So it happened. So here in Europe, we need already to see ahead. The time is passing. We need to see ahead, and we need to see, as I said, with politicians that they're running, they can make legislations in order to help this bleeding, allow me to call it as bleeding. Let's put it European bleeding, also whatever it is, and to find something, to do something, because it's coming. It's coming, this is what we're saying is coming. Obviously, I cannot share all my ideas. Goran knows some of them that I need to address to the right people, that they are politicians and they see it from a different perspective, not just from sport. But those guys, they can help the sport to flourish. Since we have a product which is, as I said, we agree all that this product is really great product. The EuroLeague ecosystem is the best out there, the most competitive at least.
Next question, please. Yes. Giannis? Okay, do we have any more questions? Alberto?
Hi, Coach. Hi, Goran. Well, I have two questions. One is about the firing of so many coaches, the topics that you touched before. That is, in my opinion, something really crazy. I mean, you had experience, you, Dimitris, and Giannis, you had experience in the recent years. And something that is totally crazy, in my opinion, is when a coach is fired after 2-3 games in the season. I mean, we have executives that have all the summer to decide what they want to do next season. They can believe in a coach or they cannot believe in a coach. It's their right, okay, but it's a matter of respect. I don't think that in 2 games without a preseason, as you mentioned, because none of you had a true preseason in recent years. We know that Eurobasket, World Championship, Olympics and everything, you have, I don't know, 5, I talked to some coaches that told me we had 3 full practice before the first game of EuroLeague. So this is terrible. So after 2 games of EuroLeague, maybe you win 1, you lose 2, I don't know, and they fire the coach. So what happened in these 2 weeks that define your decision to fire a coach? That is crazy. But you say we will not accept. I don't know if the 2 coaches want to respond. We will not accept. But frankly speaking, what are you going to do? I mean, we will not accept means what?
Look, let me first go into this. You remember we had coaches firings after 2 game days, after 1 game day, and even before a first game day. This before the first game day, this coach is now at the Final Four. Okay? So much about when it makes sense, it doesn't. Look, I will give you an idea. I have something, I call this the pyramid of excuses. if you ask, and this is a losing mentality, the pyramid of excuses. If you ask a player why he lost the game, he will say that my teammate didn't pass me the ball, the coach didn't substitute me, and the referee didn't call a foul on me. If you ask a coach why you lost the game, the player, the referee, and the sports director, if you ask him why the sports director, he didn't bring me the players I wanted. If you ask a sports director, it's the player, the coach, the referee, and the GM. If you ask why the GM, he didn't give me money. So this is a mentality, a loser's mentality. So the problem is exactly what I'm trying to say. It's about, do we have a real strategic plan, which you mentioned? Do we have stability? Do we have continuity? This is what brings success in sports. What we will do, we cannot do anything. But the things that we did until now was to implement the EuroLeague Basketball Dispute Resolution Chamber, which is an arbitration court in Switzerland. So this means we made sure that the owners, they have the right to hire and fire whoever they want. No problem. But you will pay for this. Because this is guaranteed labor contracts. Absolutely no problem. But do our members want to stay without work? I don't think that Giannis is happy right now not working. So again, it's a mentality change that the people need to understand. And like Sharas mentioned, we have a problem in our society. So this is what we want to raise the awareness from. And like you said, how it makes sense after game day 2. It's when I started this topic, I said, I thought I saw everything in the last 8 years. But every year I'm getting taught better that I still have not seen everything. So much about this from my side. The other question, please.
Alberto, on this, I have a question to you. You are hiring somebody, assuming that you did your search, am I right? If you're hiring somebody, you see his CV, you see his accomplishments, because we pretty much, players and coaches, they're being paid for what they have accomplished, not for what they will accomplish. You have an expectations, obviously, but the salary is being based on what he achieved. And then you fire him after the 2 games. So where relies the fault? I'm just asking. I'm not answering. Where the fault relies? To the coach or to the part that fired the coach?
It's easy.
I'm just asking.
No, it's easy. I know. I agree with you. I agree with what Sarah said in the last days. I mean, sometimes we see things from executive. I mean, they will not love me after this, but there are executives that are making disgraceful things in basketball, and the coaches is the easiest part to cut. I mean, because with the excuse we cannot fire 11 players, as they said in football. This is coming for football.
But why you need to fire somebody? The solution, if you are the problem, you're the solution as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So the solution might rely to the same team and the same squad you build. You can make additions, yes. You don't need to fire everybody or something. You don't need to. Sometimes maybe you have to, but the consequences are there.
Some numbers is helping us, because how many substitution of coaches are really successful? Because that's a percentage that, in my opinion, we don't know what we mean really by successful, but 10% of them brings to better results than it was before. 10%, and maybe I'm exaggerating. So it's that. Okay, the second question, coaches, is I want to criticize you both a little bit, but you both said, Goran said, we don't need to be saved by the NBA. And you, Dimitris, you say that this product is good. And I feel like I totally agree with you, this product is good. But sometimes, do you know, are you informed about how difficult for us as media to develop the product, the fantastic product you are running as a coach? How difficult it is to be in contact with you, with your players, with all the protagonists of this fantastic sport. How difficult it is, because we face walls in terms of communications. Just an example, I propose, my friend Pablo Ramirez will kill me for this question, but okay, I proposed 2 years ago, why don't we open the press conference from remote of all the games. Okay, questions from the people in the building, and then, I don't know, 3, 4, closed number. It's not easy. Technology helps us a lot. We did it in Köln, for example, for the Final Four when it was from remote. I have a small website that is following any given game of EuroLeague all the season. I have a guy that is following any given game. And those people would be very happy to talk to Dimitris, to Giannis, to whatever coach after the game, to know something, to know your opinion, and so and so. Say, okay, this is difficult, we don't know, we have to see, and whatever. How many questions we ask to the media manager of the teams, and we have bad replies, say no, today no, Monday no, because there's the double round, so we are traveling. Monday no, because we have to rest. Come on, 30 minutes with the media to develop the product. NBA is teaching us a lot about that. We see Giannis Antetokounmpo selling burgers in McDonald's, or I don't know, something like that. This is something that is not happening in EuroLeague. Are you open, I'm asking to Giannis and Dimitris, to help us in that direction? Sorry for this criticism.
Of course we are open, and I think I don't agree with you 100%, because I think nowadays the news are spread very fast because of the media, because of the social media, because of the new technologies, and I think that the teams now, we have more and more interviews and connection with the media. For sure you are right in one part that in some moments the teams are like, how to say, as you said, if you have to fly, if you have a back-to-back week, you must understand that the time is not enough for us to do our job. So imagine, we want to help, because for us it's also in favor through you, our job, players' job, our life, even our life, everybody to know how we live as coaches, with the pressure, of results, as Goran said in the beginning, working 365 days, working 18 hours per day. So you understand, we want to do it. Sometimes you must understand also our point that the momentum is not enough, not good, but for sure in another occasion we will do it. And I think lately, I remember, let's say 20, 25 years ago, this wall, as you described, was much harder to break it. I think now it's better. Of course, you are absolutely right, and I agree that we need to improve our communication. Clubs, teams, with media, I agree with you. Maybe we can propose in the local leagues also some media days, like before every game or something more. But in general, I think that we want as coaches to be more transparent with the media. We want, you are right.
I can add only that I like the idea of remote interviews and the connection you may have in each arena, because I've been in some arenas that it was 0 journalists in my press conference. Actually, Pedro, when I said the score in one of the, so I was like, the next day I said, okay, I have 0 over here. Should I say again the score? No, coach, please say something. So we coming to press conferences, there's zero journalists over there. So, but the remote, I hear it. I kept a note, and that's a good idea.
Why I think it's a great idea? Because these guys see the same local reporters for 10 years in a row. They've been asked the same questions 1,000 times from the same local reporter they see. It would actually bring in young blood if you have reporters from all over the world asking them also from a different perspective questions, and not the usual question they have answered already thousands of times. So great idea. Let's say like this, we will also emphasize this, with EuroLeague management work on this solution.
One last question for Mr. Polianidis, and we are over, because we are over 1 hour.
Γεια σας. Δεν είναι καλά τα αγγλικά μου. Ήθελα, αν μπορείς να...
I will translate.
Okay. Ήθελα να ρωτήσω αν υπάρχει πρόβλεψη για Θεσσαλονίκη, αν θα γίνει το σεμινάριο. Η πρώτη ερώτηση.
Okay, it's a very practical question. If the EHCB Coaches Congress will come to Thessaloniki.
Actually, Goran will answer to that, and I will answer to you something.
Look, let's say like this. I'm the one who has started this discussion with Dimitris and Giannis already 2 years ago. And let's say like this, we hope to stay more years in Greece. And I hope that we will come in the future also to Thessaloniki. But let's first finish this Congress. Then we have our annual assembly, meaning we'll talk to all our members. And we are, let's say, united amongst equals. So meaning we have to ask our members. But I hope that this will happen in the future.
Το συζητάμε και θα έρθουμε.
Okay.
Μία είπες, μία ερώτηση.
Μία ερώτηση.
Άρης.
Ήταν μία τελευταία ακόμη. Ήθελα λίγο γρήγορα για τους στόχους σαν προπονητές και αν έχετε περάσει ή αν θα μπορέσετε να περάσετε κάποιες συμβολές στην Ευρωλίγκα. Καλή ώρα αυτό που έλεγες, Δημήτρη, γιατί δεν γίνεται Final Four, να γίνεται play-offs. Ο Ολυμπιακός έχασε 3 πρωταθλήματα έτσι. Δεν είμαι Ολυμπιακός. Λέμε τώρα.
This question concerns the change of format from Final Four to playoffs. I think that Mr. Itoudis especially has a very well-known position on that. Mr. President, if you want to repeat it.
Yes, listen, that's a big topic, but since we're more than 1 hour, I will say this again. I will repeat that the future, in my opinion, not in everybody's opinion though, relies in playoffs. Imagine we could have seen this semifinals in playoff mode. It will be great now, this group that we have of the teams. But it concerns a lot other members, and it involves a lot of other members, so it's not just to answer yes or no. Δεν μπορώ να σου απαντήσω με ένα ναι ή όχι τώρα. Η θέση μου είναι γνωστή, η δική μου η θέση, προσωπική. Δεν είναι όλων όμως, δεν είναι μια ιδέα η οποία θα βγει εκεί έξω, αλλά υπάρχουν τόσοι πολλοί φορείς που πρέπει να ρωτηθούν και να συμφωνήσουν με όλη αυτή την ιδέα, για να μπορέσει να γίνει αυτό που...
Σαν σύλλογος δεν περνάτε προτάσεις.
Και if it gives value to that, I would say that I was talking about this while with CSKA we were going 6 times back-to-back in Final Fours, and we were winning the Final Fours. So after winning the Final Four, I said with huge respect towards the Final Four, I believe the future relies on playoffs. So the value that the winner is talking about that, it's also the financial part, because the winner of the EuroLeague, how much he gets in the pocket? It's really few.
So look,
not even 2 million.
You have to understand that the EuroLeague competition format, the regular season is a European sports model. Then we go to playoff, which is an NBA sports model. And we finish with the Final Four, which is an NCAA.
So third-dimensional.
Yes.
We're third-dimensional system.
So again, if you ask all coaches and all players, I think most of them will agree that the fairest one is a playoff principle, because then the better team wins, okay? But again, the ones who need to decide these questions are the owners of EuroLeague. And they need to raise the topic. Let's say again, the coaches and players are pretty clear on this. It's up to the shareholders of EuroLeague to come up with conclusions, okay? But since we're here at the Final Four, let's try to enjoy this 2026 EuroLeague Final Four. Exactly. And enjoy the teams that are here, all the 4 teams. And the one that will lift the trophy, we will congratulate in sports manner. And yeah, I just want to say, we don't cut the press conference now. Please continue with questions if you want. My wife used to be a reporter and a PR, So she taught me never ever cut off any question. So we'll continue, please, if you have any more questions.
So any last one? No? That concludes our press conference. Thank you for being here, and we hope to see you soon also in July in the EHCBC Coaches Congress.